What's going on? What is the deal here? Here it is. Hey, I'm making a game. The game is called The Godkiller. Now I've heard that there's just a lot of puzzle games out there that are being made. A lot of developers making puzzle games. The point where maybe it's seen as sort of like a cliched thing to make a puzzle game or something along those lines. I assure you, this puzzle game is not like all the other ones. But one thing, I don't look at some other game that was made and say, I want to make that game, but my own slight variation on it. I'm going to go to the trouble and make a game. It's going to be different. The Godkiller's different. All right. Demo of recent progress. Here we go. Okay. Did a few things yesterday. I did some level fixes. I won't go and open up those levels to look at them. I think I'd rather just demo this other kind of new feature type stuff. So I created an AI that just runs towards the nearest block and pushes it. And there's some very specific purpose for this creature on a certain level. It might be good enough to be a mainline game element, but it's got similarities to other creatures. Anyways, but this one has a very specific purpose intended for one of the later levels. The other thing I did is I made for one of the other AI variants for block pushing a way for it to say, only push some of the blocks, not all of them. There's a filter you can put on it. Say, push blocks that have A, B, C, and D, and that's it. And then it would ignore the numbered blocks. Okay, and then I thought of another problem I have to solve on one of the levels, where I want it to be possible for blocks to be pushed into a certain area, but not for the player to follow along that same path after them. And I thought, what's a good way to show that? And I came up with one thing, and even though I've got it working here, I don't think it's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to probably get rid of this whole design. The idea is, and I don't have it coded to kill you, but if you walked on top of one of these revolving spikes, oh, you'd be dead. But if you decided you wanted to push something over them, no problem. So to make that clear-ish, I made it so they get bigger when you get closer. So I just basically warn you that there's going to be some spikiness. Anyways, I did that last night, and then while I was doing it, I thought, there's a few visual problems with it. When they are all the way down like that, it kind of seems like they're still blocking the area that a block would slide through. So if I'm pushing east, visually it feels to me like, even though the sky is shrunk down really small, it ought to mess with the block. So the fact that it doesn't is unintuitive. The other thing I thought is, okay, you get closer to it and they rise up. Well, what if you happen to have a block that's already kind of close and you're close to it? Oh, this is maybe not the best example. I have to walk around here to get it close. Say the one block was just to the west of me. The question would be, can I push it west while it's raised up like that? Intuitively, you'd say no. So it just seems like even though this increasing in size is supposed to indicate a threat to you and it reacts to you, there's confusion about whether or not you should be able to push a block over the top of it. Why wouldn't it just hit the same thing that you would get hit by? So anyways, That's that. I'm going to replace it with something else. Pop-up spikes. So there's spikes that are spring-loaded down in some holes, and they will only pop up if you walk over the top. Otherwise, they'll just be down there, and you can push over the top of them. I like this because it solves the problems that I just brought up. And another thing is there's this problem of training the player to interpret certain visual things in the same way. Let me say it. There's a visual language that the player of this game has to learn. So it takes them a while to figure out all the things. So blocks, these are things you can push. Block pads, these circular things underneath, these are places where the blocks return to. This egg thing over here is like a restarting point where you're born again. A square that has this kind of pattern on it is something you should be able to walk on. You know, all that. So if I have more and more things added, I want them to be as quickly identifiable and added to the language that the player is using in their mind to say, here's what this level contains. So they already had to learn about spikes, and they know what spikes are, and even this little 3-dot pattern means something to the player who's gone through 20 levels. When they see like this pattern down on the ground someplace, they go, oh, there's spikes there. So if I make a variant of this, which is 3 holes in the same pattern, but nothing poking up out of them, that builds upon their knowledge of what spikes are. This is a variant of the other spikes. Now you could say that or you'll just confuse them because you'll have a new thing that looks a lot like the old thing, and players will have a hard time distinguishing between the two. Maybe. But it seems like a problem that can be solved just with some good design. So that's the demo portion of this. And I'm going to continue with a work session, and I'm going to work on these pop-up spikes. See if I can get them done in the next 3 hours or so. That would actually be pretty good progress if I'm able to add a new game element in 3 hours. I think I'll have a first version of it ready. I don't necessarily think it will be all the way 100% done at the end of this session, but I think I'll have a working first version ready, and probably want to make some refinements to it later. Okay, the first decision that I've been pondering is whether I want the game element of the pop-up spikes to be something I can just drop on top of an existing floor, or if it needs to be carved out. So if it's carved out, then I'd have to do something like this. I'd have to, if I want to place a pop-up spike, say right here. Say this is a square I want to place it in. Then I have to do something like this: Pro Builder, Geometry, insert edge loop. All right, and then insert another edge loop. Okay, I'm not done. Two more edge loops coming. Okay. All right. I'm about ready punch a hole in this. There we go. There's my hole. And then I would drag some kind of 1 by 1 by 1 asset over to it. So even though this isn't the asset, let me just pretend it is, because it is 1 by 1 by 1. And I pop it into place. Okay. So this is visually the best approach, because it would allow me to show some nice holes, and the holes can have some depth to them, and you can sort of look down into them. From the point of view of designing levels efficiently, it's bad. Because you saw that stuff I had to do to put a hole there. And then suppose I find in my playtesting, really those spikes, they ought to move over a little bit. And I got to move the hole over or create new holes. So there's a lot of slowness to that design. But it would give the best visual result. So you picture like 3 holes, and then the spikes, they could be in a down state or an up state. When they're in the down state, you would be able to maybe just catch a little bit of glimpse of the depth of the hole. Okay, so the other way to do it is have like a slightly raised surface. Actually, now I've thought of like 3 ways to do it. I'll say the second way to do it, have a slightly raised surface, and put 3 holes in it. And it's a bit of a cheat, because there will be a hole, but it won't go through the floor surface. So it's kind of like if you ever seen one of these children's storybooks where there's a little bit of puffiness to the pages, or a tin that has a pattern on it. There's some relief to it. There's a little bit of 3D-ness to it. There's a little bit of depth, but it's not really the full depth that you're implying. So if there really were spikes that were popping up out of the floor, the holes would go down at least the length of the spikes. So that's the second option. It's not bad. It does have like maybe a disadvantage that the slight raisedness is going to imply that, you know, it would stop a block if you pushed it. So I think I'm probably going to rule that one out, just for that reason alone. Because remember, I had these guys here, and my first qualm about it was it seems like I shouldn't be able to push a block through it. Okay. Third way is you have it be totally flat, and maybe you do like a little bit of trickery with normal maps and bump maps to make the texture that's shown for the hole seem to go down a little bit. But you can't do too much with that. I wish you could do more. It just doesn't seem... there's like a limit to like how much pretend depth you can get with that technique. We can cheat a little bit by having the spike down texture include in a 2-dimensional way the points of the spikes in the texture. So I did something a tiny bit like that, because I did create I created this texture, and it was meant for the normal spikes, but it was a level of detail hack, so that when it was far away, the spikes would actually be represented with a 2D version of them. So I could do something like that. I think I'm inclined to try that first, to see if I can get something that looks pretty good. And if it doesn't work, then I go on to the full 3D version of it, which requires punching holes in the middle of floors to install these pop-up spikes. So you can picture, say these are going to be the pop-up spikes. Well, they would have to have some holes that they came up out of. Right, and then they would lower down, you know, to about that position there. Yeah. I'm having even a second. I'm doing so many kind of double takes to this whole thing. Like maybe there's an opportunity to make something that's visually even more interesting than just 3 holes sticking up. Maybe I can have something that looks like a proper inset. Because if I'm going to go to the trouble to punch holes out of the floor, it feels like I should capitalize on it and have like something that looks like it's truly inset into the ground. And it might be something like, say there's some thin metal rods going this way that are at the same height as the floor, but the rest of it is inset underneath, and you can be able to see like, hey Goose, how's it going? You'll be able to see like this thing ducking down. Okay. Get that coffee. I'm done with my coffee for the day, but I imagine your schedule's a little bit different than mine. No, I think I just talked myself into doing it the way I just described, having an inset area. Okay, let's try that first. So for that, I need a cube. 1 by 1 by 1. And, oh, come on, where'd you go? I always like the default Pro Builder texture. I think they did a real nice job on it. It seems like a simple thing, but it looks good. Alright, let me try one of my existing textures. Let's see. Great. Metal grid wall. That's good for now. Okay. And next thing is just to reverse the normals on this. All right. Yeah, stupid Text Mesh Pro. If I'm ever doing something that's right on the boundary of this object that Text Mesh Pro creates, no, I guess that's not the issue. I thought it was. It's not. Okay. All right, it's not correct for me to be mad at Text Mesh Pro. Not about that particular thing. Okay, so take this, pop it down. And there's the trouble, like maybe I want more than one of these right next to each other. I could make it tileable. That's probably the nice way to do it. Okay, let's get those spikes. Alright, so then there's spikes down there. And it has to look like it's possible for things to slide over the top of it. The positioning of the spikes is a little bit problematic for that, because like if I was going to put some bars over the top, still seems like this might be hitting the bar as it comes up. Just this one here, maybe this one a little bit. Let me just put them in though, just to see what it's like. Alright, we'll do, I think let's do cylinder, radius, make it pretty small, 0.025, number of sides 4, I'm going to use smoothing to make it look better. Height, let's go 1, and yes, smooth. Build it. Okay. And let's grab that cylinder. Bring it up. Okay, so now let's pull this over here. Let's say boom, set this to 90. Yeah, something a little bit like that. Okay, let's change the texture. I guess what do I want? Brass. Let's do brass. Okay. Add a few more of these. Feels like it wants a little more so you can appear to be able to walk across it, or things can slide across it. Okay, I'm just putting it together a little bit junky just to see if the basic concept works. So if the spikes were coming up, let's go down here. I'll get it all in one place so it's easier to mess with. No, not there. There, okay. So if the spikes were coming up, it would be a little bit like that. But one issue is they don't really look a lot different when they're up versus down. Here I think, yeah, I've got them further down. I've got them underneath this part here. So what I could do is I could add like a material just underneath, which is like a translucent black, so that if they're down underneath, they'll be pretty dark and they'll look different than if they're up. So one thing is like everything is actually pretty small. So this is a more typical view right here. If I don't have anything to make them look different when they're down, then it'll just be confusing. But on the other hand, they'll be up instantly as soon as you step onto the square. It might be nice to do the same thing I do with these guys, and if the player's close to it, they raise up. Like maybe if the player's right next to it, then it raises up. Then you get some cue. Okay. So if I go with this inset design, then I'd want to add that bit I was talking about that makes them look dark when they're down underneath. So I'll go ahead and do that now. That won't take long. There's some issue with the Pro Builder menu. I'm trying not to use it. It makes it so that the other menus in that pane will stop working. It's quite unfortunate. So let's go new. All right. Plane up 1 by 1. Build. Yeah. It's annoying. Like if you move the game object to a certain location, and you won't get like this y-axis if it's too on. Then you have to move it away to get the y-axis again. It's always been kind of irritating to me. All right, let's create a new material. Let's see. Called black window. Let's call it. It's better to couple it to the thing that it's actually for, because otherwise I'll try to reuse it and I'll change it in one place. It'll change something else. So we'll call it pop up spike shade. Okay. And rendering mode. Transparent. Albedo. Let's make it black. And I think maybe let's start out with half. Okay. This guy. So I can find it more easily. Let's call this pop-up shade. Pop-up spike shade. Nah, just shade, because it'll be inside of another game object. Okay, and material, pop, up spike shade. There we go. All right, so then it's got some junkiness to it to fix, but I'm just testing it out. That, we just pull it up and then see it gets brighter. Another thing I could do also is use the Y scale instead of the Y position. So let me try that. Yeah. That's probably a good way to do it. I mean, it's got some advantages. Well, one is that I don't have to create something that the spikes are attached to on the bottom part. So if I raise it up and there's nothing underneath. So you're supposed to be on holiday, but you got some shit going. What's the shit going? Let's see. Okay. Also, I can make these spikes go up pretty high and look really deadly this way. But I don't need them to extend down further because I'm using the scale to get them to pop up. Well, that makes some sense. I know that, like, when I get off work and I pick my own projects and things to do, it's usually something a fair amount different than what I'm spending my time on at work. Day job versus moonlighting job, usually fairly different. So I get that. Oh. I don't know, I'm kind of liking this approach. I'm going to try one other thing just to compare and say I've, done my job and figuring out like the best possible way to depict this. So for now, let's put all this stuff together inside of one. Okay. You go there. All you guys go in there too. Okay. That's not bad though. Okay, let me do another one. So the other one would be like there's holes punched into the floor, and some spikes go inside of them. For that one, I'll start with the floor square. Okay, this one might actually be a little bit tricky. Okay, well, let's see. It's going to subdivide a whole bunch of times to start. All right, so with this many points in it, it's really not very manageable inside a Pro Builder. When I hit undo, it just takes like 8 seconds or so to undo whatever I did. So, alright, so I would like basically make some holes in the texture. Each change spinny. No, I'm not going to keep going this way. Alright. Since I basically like this one over here, and this one is going to be a pain in the fucking ass, forget it. Done with that one. Okay, let me make a nice version of this. To avoid having to tile, write tiling code and 16 variations of this game object, I think I'll make a self-contained inset so that it's possible to just plop these right next to each other and not feel like visually there's a problem with having this being closed off and this being closed off and having them Z-fight with each other. So I'll make an inset. And then all this business will fit inside of it. Okay, so let's take the cube. So might as well just get rid of these guys. 1.025, I think. And we'll drag this in a bit. Oops. I think I'll close this up. Let me think. How do I want to do that? Okay, I got it. Pro Builder. New shape. Okay, let me go with a cube. We'll do 1 by 1 by 1. I'm just making a really thin border around the outside. And that's going to allow me to place these right next to each other without them Z-fighting or looking wrong. Okay. And instead of reversing the normals, I can actually just create a new set here. I needed to come up a little bit from the bottom anyhow, because if I don't, I could potentially be Z-fighting with some other surface underneath. So I think that's all the way at the bottom. Let's come up just a little. There we go. Okay, so then I can delete the extra sides. Yeah, I got that set already. Okay. From underneath. Yeah, I don't need that one. Delete. And then if I come back up top, that's it. I've got a little inset there. Okay. So then let's take the spikes and move them in there. Okay. Bars next. Let's see. Okay, cylinder. Pretty good settings there, but I feel like I can make this a little bit thinner. Okay, let's do 125. Drop it down just a tiny bit. This time I'm trying to position it correctly. Maybe I'll hide these spikes just so I'm not biased. I can see a little more clearly where the evenly spacing is. Okay, so this one 30, is that in the middle? Might be one of those deals where the middle line is right in between the two snap positions I've got. Yeah, it kind of looks like that. Because there's the middle line right there. Thanks, Pro Builder. Good texture. Is it on the other side of it now, or is it in the middle? That seems all right. Nope, it's on the other side of it. Okay, that's fine. Now that I can see it's sort of straddling it, maybe I can just, let's see, 5 to 525. So we say 5, 1, 2, 5 on the X. Okay, that's looking right. And I think even Yeah, there's quarter line marks too. So we'll see how I can do with these. Yeah, the same issue. Okay, so we add 825. Nope, wrong way. 75 minus 1.25 is 5.75. Nope, it's definitely not. Bad math. Bad math. Okay. 33.75. I think it's like it's going this way. All right, I got here. Can also change this to be 125, and then I'm able to snap in between those 2 points. There we go. All right, so now those are spaced probably about right. Go the other direction. That one right? Okay. So there's that. Now let's bring back in the spikes. So it's not too much of a stretch that they can fit through. Let me see what happens when I up that. Yeah. All right, let's see what that looks like. You're walking over the top. Shashonk. Also, I think the way I want these spikes to pop up is that they'll be instantly up, killing you, but then they'll just kind of like slowly ratchet back down into their resting position where they're underneath. If you come up to them again while they're still lowering down, shashonk, up immediately. But this is one of the places where I can have a smooth animation of them just lowering back down. So I've got a decision to make about the positioning of these. They don't quite fit realistically inside the gaps of the grate, but I could move them. So that they're more realistically inside the grate gaps, but then that would mean they don't have the same pattern as the other spikes. So it goes back to what I was talking about with visual vocabulary. Players learned this is what spikes looks like when they're not pop-up spikes. So to depart from that pattern is not what I want to do. I think I might cheat it just a little bit. I'll just move these guys just a tiny bit more inside, but not depart from the pattern altogether. So if I take one other thing I could do, I could just enlarge this a little bit, but it won't look as good when there's a whole bunch of them right next to each other. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave the spikes. I'm gonna leave the spikes. I don't think they're bad. All right, let's see. Boom. 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 It's okay. It's fine. Leave the spikes, they're fine. Okay, let's get that shade over here. That will be a plane. I wish I could set up some hotkeys to jump between the different snapping settings quickly. Okay. So I don't need it to go all the way out this far. Let's bring it in. Bam. Huh. That didn't seem right. Oh, that's right. Okay, it is 2. You come in 2 because I have that smaller snap. Yeah, let's just set it back to the other snap. Okay. Take this, drag it down a little bit. No, not that, just the whole thing. Okay, that should do it. Okay. Change this to be the metal. No. Huh. That's an interesting texture I haven't used yet. Whew. A little rough on the eyes. The grades actually are a little rough on the eyes when they're far away like that. Did I do something different this time? They look nice when I'm up close, but... Alright, what do I use on this one? Metal grid wall. Okay, I do like that metal wall 3 texture, but I'm not sure if it's gonna survive. Okay, maybe... Could be that, like these grates, when they're further away, they just need a texture that doesn't shine so much. Let me experiment. Part of it might be that I made these grates thinner. These little rods. Here, let's pull this guy out. Put this in place. I'll do it on full screen to get a little bit more. Let's see. Rename. To get a little more resolution to use for the detail. Pop-up spikes. Okay. So these. I'll go inside of here. Oh, I lost my spikes. Okay, no problem. Found a trick that seems like a small thing, but it saves a lot of time. If I drag spike U or whatever thing that's up at the top over this bar, it puts it down at the bottom, and anything else I had down at the bottom of the hierarchy, I can just more easily get it down there. Trouble I was having is if I create an object, it puts it at the top of the hierarchy list, and if I duplicate an object, it puts it down at the bottom. So that helps me get them all together in one place. Alright, and my wife is asking me to get her some food. I might get her some food. Try to keep her happy, you know. All she wants is some food. That's all she wants. She doesn't ask for much. Alright, before I do that, I'm going to check this out in full screen preview, see what it looks like. Save, play. It's not bad. Expected that. That's not bad. I mean, you can make sense out of it visually. It's not hard. I don't know if I need that shade, or it could be turned down at least. Okay, but generally I do like this. Cool, I'm on the path. All right, what should you say? What kind of food you want? What kind of food you want? Fuck, this is gonna be a project. Pastrami sandwich with cheese and pickle slices and a Coke. Okay, I'm gonna be gone for 5 minutes or so making a sandwich. I'm sure people will be able to carry on without me. So I think, yeah, visually this might be about right. Let's see. Let me lay out a few right next to each other so I can get a better idea. There's some finishing up stuff to do on these, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it until I'm pretty certain that this is right. Okay, make a bigger hole. And let's drop some more of these guys in. You know, it might be nice, instead of having them rise up when you get close to them, just have them kind of jiggle. It's like a jiggle in place a little bit. Like, they're ready. They're ready to spring. Take one more step. They will spring. But visually, I can parse that pretty easily. I just killed that person because they were annoying me. Okay, let me try a few other variations. Okay, so if we take the shade, set this so it's a little less dark. Okay, this is all the way off. This is on a little bit. This is all the way, dark. Try it right there. And just for variation, so I can see how it looks, I'll put one of these spiking out. No, not the whole thing, just the spikes. There we go. 3, let's do 3. Yeah, I can see it going through the bar a little bit. Could make each individual spike a little bit thinner. It would keep the same pattern. Okay. Another thing I can do is change the scale of these just when they go up. Anyways, let me start by just making these a little bit thinner. Well, that almost gets them out of the bar. This one is definitely on the bar, though. But I think also when I change their size, I don't think they position the same way. I could be wrong. I don't know where their pivot's at. So if I take this guy, there, his center point looks like it's right on the bar. Over here, the center point looks to the left of the bar, so I suspect. Oops. Just going how my little bit does it. Okay, let's see what these look like if I shrink them down. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, this guy here, I would want to move over just a tiny bit. Okay, let's try that. So I've got on the left, it kind of looks like, oh, LOD groups. Okay. So it kind of looks like they overwrote the X and Z on these, and I think they did. I think that's just the LOD group. Okay, so that is LOD1 probably instead of 0. I'm gonna have to redo the LOD anyway, so I might as well just remove the LOD group here. Move these guys up to there. Or just here, leave it as LOD 0. Delete this. Oh, I'm back. I'm back, prefab. Delete that. Alright, so there is skinny spikes. It looks like they're the same. What happened? Oh, those are the middle ones that I changed. Is that it? Okay, I got it. That. Okay, so I changed the middle one. Let's unpack the prefab. Unpack the prefab. Okay. That should do it. I saw my email poking through and I wanted to turn that off. So it's not shown to every single person who feels like looking at it. Okay. One more thing I want to do before I commit to this design. Let's bring the original spikes out. See what it looks like in comparison. I think I don't like the skinny spikes. I think I don't like them. So, back into here. Set this to 1, set this to 1. 1, 1. 1, 1. All right, and these guys. Here's the thing that I could definitely do though. So I could keep them fat and in the sort of vocabulary space of this pattern down here until they spring up. And once they spring up, I can have them tween to positions that work for the grades. So I have this like that, like that. Okay, so while they're sprung up, I can do a little animation cheat. Yeah, this guy just come over there just a little bit. This guy, he's fine, he's not poking through. This guy, just a little bit, like so. Right. So the way it's accomplished is you've got an offset or a separate position that this tweens to as it gets animated, and then when they're raised up, they'll fit in between the grate. When they're down, they'll be in this canonical position, or this familiar position that matches the spikes over here. You might say, why don't you just change the layout of the original spikes? But it's pretty good. It's designed pretty carefully. So it's meant to kind of evenly be positioned inside of this square so that each spike covers about the same amount of area of the square, but not look too neat and tidy. So it's at an angle. So like, I don't want to mess with that. That's good. So let's come back to here. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Then I get to eat my cake and have it too, more or less. Okay. So then, let's get rid of some polygons that aren't needed. Tighten this thing up. I've been finding that on these shapes where there's like a lot of repetition, like this cam object might be repeated a whole bunch of times, it really does pay, really does, to delete extra polygons. More so than things like walls and floors. It doesn't matter as much for those. But these ones that repeat a whole bunch of times, it does pay to get rid of the extra polys. Oops. Let's bring this in just a little bit. Are you not going to let me select it? Come on. Okay, I guess I gotta start hiding stuff so I can click into it. Ah, not the whole thing. Hide the shade. Okay, can I select it yet? Okay. There we go. Okay, delete that. the underside of these grates, I totally will never see. Never, ever, ever will I see the underside. So just delete those polys. It's the nature of the game. Top-down view. Relentlessly top-down. Alright, is there any value in merging these game objects together and putting points at their intersections? I don't think there is, to be super honest. What? A gap? No. I'll fix the gap. Ka-ching. That seems fine. I think I also kind of got lucky with the texture mapping up top. It's this same texture that you see underneath here for the wall, but it seems to line up really nice along the top as well. So cool. That seems to be the basic design. I feel like doing the LOD now instead of later. Just because it would be nice to... What is this one? Empty object now. I think this is empty. Yeah. Let's give these good names just so it'll be easier to work with. So it'd be nice to get the LOD right the first time, so that I don't have to go through and do object replacements. I found that sometimes you have prefab instances and, oops, those prefabs don't update very well, and you have to redo stuff. So I'd rather get the LOD right the first time if I can. Let's see, what's it? Bar. Boat! Boat, what's going on? I thought it might be Boated Boa. Why'd you change your name? Not that it bothers me or anything. Just curious. Hey. So when I first picked my handle that I thought was cool for me, it was back in like the 80s or I think early 90s. I've been good. So it was Eric H2000, and then it was kind of silly, like 2000 was supposed to be futuristic, so I was like Futuristic Eric from the 2000s. There's some old sketches on the Conan O'Brien show where they would sing the song about in the year 2000 like it was in the far distant future. So then the problem is, okay, I didn't feel like changing my handle, but then like everybody started having names with the year they were born in it. So now I probably look like some kind of pedophile because like an old guy that has Eric H2000, like I'm 20 years old. Let's see. But yeah, I've been good. Hopefully you have too. Let's see. Why is this not snapping? Let's see. 2-week break for holidays, and you're kind of back to the normal school. Is it all from home? Like remote learning stuff? Yeah. I don't know about you. I imagine you might be kind of tired of the remote learning. Maybe you do like it. I don't know. Like, would you rather go to school with with remote like you're doing now, or would you rather go and just have like everyone be there? Yeah, that's how I feel about work. Like at some point at my day job, this isn't my day job, this is like moonlighting project. They'll say, okay, it's open, everybody come back in. I'll be like, really? It's easier to work from home. Alright, so I'm making these lovely pop-up spikes. Down. Yeah. Sleep in an extra half hour to an hour if you want to. You don't have to get on a bus or walk or go any place or drive or yeah. Don't get me wrong, I would much rather not be under lockdown in general. Lockdown sucks in different ways. Alright, boat. Catch you later. Alright, I think I'm actually going to close up the stream here. I might continue doing a little more work off stream. Tomorrow I should be able to demo these spikes, I think. Should be doing something cool tomorrow. We'll see. All right, stopping the stream. Stopping the stream. Stopping it. Catch you later, Goose, if you're still on.